Welcome to the third part of the swatching of the complete collection of watercolors by Talent Rembrandt. Yesterday I swatched on a live video my old collection that I had, and immediately afterwards I began swatching the new collection, of which I had made a dot card. And now that it's fully dried up, I took a look at the colors, at the range that I have done so far, and it's just a really beautiful, it's a beautiful line of colors. Especially I see an improvement of the collection of the colors they have in it in this area. There's beautiful pinks are now in this collection. I think people who like painting flowers, for instance, or just people who like pink paint are going to love colors like this one and that one and that one, that are just really, really gorgeous. When I was swatching yesterday, I said I noticed little difference between the ultramarines, the French ultramarine and the ultramarine deep, the 506 and the 503, and it's true, there is very little difference between the two. The only difference you can notice is that this one is a brighter kind of blue than that one, but the difference is very, very minimal. If we look at the old collection and the old 503, which was the same pigment but by a different supplier, we can see this is a much darker color. It's a little bit more grayish, whereas this is a much brighter and a much more vibrant ultramarine. Now we still see this difference here. This one, the 506, is still the brighter of the two. It's still the clearest and the brightest blue of the two. But the difference has become slightly smaller. So that's something I noticed and I wanted to look into once it was dry so I could take a really good look. Something else I've noticed is that the 305, I'll grab the brochure. Let's see what color that is. The 305 is cadmium red, is now a single pigment, PR108. And what I noticed with that one is that when it dries up, I don't know if you can see it, it has a slight sheen to it. There are some little spots in other colors that have it too, but that's because as you can see in the way I swatch, I always aim for a the most intense color, and then I try to dilute it to be lighter and brighter. But because I do that, sometimes you get these shiny spots, but that's more my it's my doing, not the paints, because I've got it with every brand. But this one seems to have a little sheen on it, and even when you look at that, I don't know if you guys can see it, but this is kind of it's a bit glossy. Not the paint, not this area, but here where the paint is on rather thick, it's rather glossy, and that's different with, for example, that red. So those are two things I've noticed and that stood out. I've been asked to do a review about a comparison between the old and new colors. I will do that, but I will only do that later, and only of the colors that I have in my collection, because I don't have the full old collection. I almost had it, but not quite. So okay, enough said. So I think this is a good time to start swatching the blues, the greens, and some earth tones. And before I do, yes, I've got to take a quick look and see. There was some eraser on my desk. Last night I've been drawing here on this desk. So, okay, I grabbed the brochure again just to see where I was at. 533. We're starting off with one of my favorites, which is indigo, and indigo is not a light fast color. So there was a pigment for indigo, only it was so fugitive, the color, that I'm not sure if real indigo is still available. I have a little piece of that, and it's a really beautiful color, but it can be very well approached by mixing two very reliable other pigments, in this case PB15 and PBK6. So ivory black and F-tail blue. This is just one of my favorite colors for night scenes, for illustrations with night scenes that I love doing. I love this. It's a very deep color, and again, the paint re-wets so easily, because this is all tube paints that I made dots from. It re-wets so quickly and so easily that you can make really intense colors. Cerulean blue greenish, and this is supposed to granulate. It reminds me, color-wise, it reminds me of manganese blue. The first manganese blue I owned was a fluid acrylics by Golden, and it just blew me off my socks, and I bought it. I just hardly ever used it because the color is so incredibly bright and vibrant. I didn't know what to do with it. So color-wise, it reminds me of that a little bit, only it's not that electric blue. It's a little more laid back. Okay, trying to bring in some water to observe the granulation. It's I think it is a bright blue and a light blue, but it's kind of modest in a way too. And I see when it dries up that it there is the granulation, but also it's a modest tone of blue, even though it came off so vibrantly and so brightly. Right, cerulean blue, PB35. This is a color I love using. It doesn't say granulating, but it should granulate, and I think it does. I think I see it happening right. A very, very beautiful and it's how shall I say it? This blue is like because yesterday when I looked at my own video for a few minutes of the live video I did, I noticed that by keeping something at this height, my camera focused on this and not on that, so it's rather blurry, unfortunately. I still want to learn a lot about how to really film overhead and have really good quality, really, but everything. But I've also noticed that on camera it really is hard to bring across the colors. So what I try to do is sometimes I try to explain to you with metaphors what the paints look like, and how two colors look a little bit like each other and yet are really very different. So I try to just with words I try to describe a difference. And this cerulean blue greenish is a little bit like a very hot summer's day when you look up and the sky is blue, and this one is more like a cool day when the sky is blue. It's a cooler color. They both granulate. Only this cerulean blue, the 534, doesn't say it granulates, and it does. So I'm really grateful for that because I love granulation, as you all know. Cerulean blue phthalo. Well, that's not gonna granulate if it's a phthalo. And phthalo promises fireworks in any paint. I love all these bright colors, but I notice that in my work, I don't use them that much. Sometimes they're just too bright. It's always easier to build up on color and add some really bright details than, you know, to paint a really very beautiful, very bright sky. It's I like this, even though it's a phthalo blue, I like this cerulean. PB 15 plus PW 6. So basically this is a phthalo blue with white pigment in it. And even though this was a cerulean blue greenish and this a phthalo blue, there is some greenish in this, but it is still different from that one. This is even greener, so this is really blue and that's sort of heading towards the green end. Right, cobalt turquoise. Now I have to say I am completely in love with PG 50. So I was very sad to see that Rembrandt does not have PG 50 in its collection. So I'm really curious about this one. Oh, that's gorgeous too. It doesn't say it granulates. I hope it does. It doesn't say it does, but it is a really beautiful color. It's more transparent than the PG 50 paints that I have. But that's also a good thing, you know, because sometimes the PG 50 is too opaque. And then it gets hard to, sometimes gets a bit hard to use in watercolor. So this is, it's lovely. There is no white in this. I think if you would add a little bit of white, only just a little bit, you would get very close to the color as I know it. But this is beautiful. And I see granulation. I don't always see when I see something granulate. It's just a thing of me. It's my fetish, granulation. 522, turquoise blue. Ooh, that is one of my favorite colors in my old set. Let me grab that one. Let's see, because this wasn't a changed pigment, but somehow the pigments seem so fresh. This color is, I think, the quinacridone equivalent, but then in the blue range. It's so bright, it's so vibrant, it's beautifully transparent, and it would go together perfectly with any quinacridone, I promise you. This is gorgeous. And much to my surprise, I see the PB28 dry up beautifully. And not that I didn't believe PB28 could dry up beautifully, but because I'm just so fond of PG50. And now I see this and I think, oh, that's lovely. I have to compare those side by side because I'm really curious what they will look like together. Right, 550, cerulean blue dark. This is a granulating pigment, and this color, it wasn't in the set that I got, but this is the color that made me decide to go ahead and buy the missing colors immediately for swatching purposes, because to be honest with you, this color appealed to me straight away when I saw it in the brochure. So let's see, gotta be careful now, because when you touch a thale swatch, accidentally the thale will run into your swatch because it's a very dominant color. That's also something very interesting to look into if you're starting in watercolors, is to lay down all your watercolors side by side, wet next to wet, and then let them run into each other and see which of the pigments is stronger. There are some yellows that will take over all the wet areas, no matter what pigment is there, and then they push back all the other pigments, and then you get these really beautiful effects sometimes where you can have the lines where the pigments are touching that get a fringe or some blossoming or some granulation or it's a shift of color. So that's really super interesting to look into. So, and my thale blues are really very powerful, and they will shoot into other colors like mad. But this is a very, this is a little bit, if I say dull, it sounds negative. It's more like a laid back color, very easy and calming. It's like a greenish blue with a little bit of gray in it. I like it very, very much, and I think I'm going to be using this very quickly. I have an idea for this, and it is granulating. So yay, talents, thank you very much. 682 cobalt turquoise green. According to the brochure, it's a very light color. 682. I don't think I had this one before. No, this was one of the missing color. No, I did have it. Where? No, this was 610. Oh, look. Okay, so the 610 that has disappeared, that I love so much and that I hate to see disappear, is now the same pigment, but coming from a different source, and it's a more brilliant turquoise than its predecessor, which was 610. So it's going to be more brilliant than that one. Right, let's see. Brilliant how? I suspect a little more bluish. It does require, it doesn't, requires a little bit more work, but in the brochure you can already see this is not a very powerful color, even though I have to say it is. Yeah, let me see that granulation. Someone recently emailed me, she said, what's up with all the fuss about granulation? Like, people who've never painted with artist quality paints before often don't know, because there are not many student grade paints that granulate. Even though Talents has now come up with the dusk colors, which is a mixture of oxide black and a few very bright glazing colors, very vibrant colors. And they have added those to the Rembrandt collection, so you'll be seeing them in the fourth swatch session, but they've also brought them into the student collection. So that's a really good thing, because I think, you know, watercolors, they have this unique capacity to show the true nature of the pigments, to show what they're capable of. So when I heard that Phthal colors are actually heavily granulating and that chemicals are added to control that, I was like, no, stop, don't do that. Give me a granulating Phthal color. Let me see what happens. And please invent some granulating reds and oranges and yellows, because I like that. and they're just not around very much, a couple, but I have to say most have been kind of a disappointment so far. So let's see. Talent says this is a more brilliant version of that one. It's certainly more bluish. Brilliant, I don't know. Let's just give it time to dry, and let's look back later. 640 blue green, PG7 and PB15. This dried up a little hard, so it takes a little bit more work. But here we have the transparency of the PG7. But this is also, again, I want to say, this, just like the 522, will accompany all your quinacridones beautifully, and your nickel azos, and it's like super vibrant color. It's light, it's light and airy when you dilute it, and it's bright and outspoken when you use it thicker, and yet it is transparent. So perfect for layering purposes, absolutely perfect. Someone asked me a little while ago what's the difference between layering and glazing. Well, with glazing, what you do is you add another layer of color to change the color of everything underneath that layer. So what you can do is, when you have a lot of different colors in your painting and you feel it's out of balance, you can give it a glaze with one other color, thin, you know, just lightly, and then it will all pull it together into one, hopefully. It does take a little bit of practice, okay? Things don't work out just in one go. But layering, for me, in painting textures, is not about glazing. It's not about, you know, pulling together the colors or altering the color. It's more about achieving an intensity in color so that I can create the illusion of texture. So this is PG18 616 Emerald Green. This is not a very outspoken emerald. This emerald requires a bit of work, but I've seen that a lot with this pigment. So this is also a very light color, light and airy. And this is also a granulating color. And you can already see the pigments settling down, can't you? Into the texture of the paper. But I also like using granulating paints on hot press paper, so there is no texture, it's just very smooth, because then you can actually, the paint can have a ball. They won't be stopped by textures, but they will just move like the way they feel they want to. It's kind of nice to see happening. Right, 675 Thale Green, PG7. Right, so this is like PB15 and PG7 are friends, best of friends, they are family. It's super, super bright. It's great for mixing purposes. And you find in a drop of water. Hold on. Before I smear and smudge my entire color chart, but PG15 is a pigment that is used, PG15? No, PG7 is a pigment they use for many convenience mixes. It's reliable, it's transparent, and it's a powerful color. Okay. 6:15, Paul Veronese green. If you hear some noises in the background, that's my family. As I said in another video, in this COVID time, my family is home, and even though they try to think of my recording a video, sometimes they forget, and I can be all cramped up about it, but you know what? This is what it is, and I bet with many of you it's no different, so, you know, let's just be cool about it. And hope they don't say anything embarrassing. It happens to everyone, right? I've seen television shows that were interrupted by kids walking into their parents' workrooms, etc. That's kind of funny. It also shows that we're just people and that everyone is just people, even the really famous and important people. Right, 681, Thale green yellowish. Whoa. Yes, that is, oh, that's, that's a PG 36, so this is a different color. I hadn't expected that. This is a different pigment than the PG 7. By the way, I am going to look up who is Paul Veronese. Paul Veronese green. No idea. I remember I always swatch on the fly, you know, I don't look up everything. I always do that afterwards. The reason why is that I like to give you a spontaneous impression of what I am experiencing, what I'm doing. And I think all the facts are secondary. They are not as important. Okay, hold on, just 1 minute. I'm going to ask my children if they can go and have their discussion somewhere else. Hold on. My dear. Thank you. Okay. I'm back. Okay, here we go. So I want to look up who Paul Veronese is. But the facts of the paints, it is important to know your pigments, you know, for numerous facts, but you don't have to know everything about the paint. And I just want to give you, some people told me that I should script, and I think I shouldn't, and I won't. And this is the way I do it. Permanent green is a mix of PG7 and PY 154, so super bright yellow and a super vibrant green that results in an extremely spring grassy green. This is like, I can smell the lawnmower when I lay down this paint. It's so, this is lush. This color oozes spring and insects and, well, all of that. It's not exactly like spring green, the color that you sometimes find in collections. That's even more yellowish, but I think that's the one below here, but still it is like lush, juicy. 633. So I don't script. Sometimes I write an article and I turn that into a podcast, and for YouTube I add a video to it. I'm almost finished. I'm currently writing and recording such an article, because then I find it really important that I say it the way I mean it. Because when you're recording on the fly like this, sometimes afterwards you think, oh, I should have used different words, or should have added this or that. And, you know, sometimes there are just, well, it doesn't happen a lot. Sometimes there are things that I'm sorry about that I said, but, you know, then again, I have a very strong preference for people being real. I don't like the scripted videos and the marketing cleanliness. And I don't have a monstrous channel, but some people like my videos, so this is what I do and I keep doing it. 623 sap green. Juice green. I was saying juice green because sap. Juice is just another word for sap, right? Okay. Oh, this is a very beautiful sap green, but I shouldn't be surprised by that because this color hasn't changed and I've had this for ages. This really is, I love this, but every time I put down this color, and I use this one a lot, this is my favorite green, along with the olives. I love olive greens as well, but this is such a warm green. And this is my favorite yellow pigment, PY 150 and PG green. Okay. Lush and vibrant. And again, I really have to pay Talons a compliment and say they have created a really beautiful a palette of colors. So far, I haven't really seen a color that I think should not be in here. The only hesitation I have is with the ultramarines, the two. But, you know, those look very much alike. But for the rest, all the other colors are just... It's a smashing... Everyone should have this. This is really great. Right, 644, Hooker's Green Light. Now I have a little confession to make. I bet Hookers was a famous person. Who was he? I've always been planning to look that guy up. It's always guys, isn't it? I mean, they're always referring to guys from the past. It's about time someone designed a line of paints with only female names. Famous female names. Must be doable. And as let's just, the Black Lives Matter. I mean, can't we just make paint names after people who, not just the white. Well, that's of course a little bit difficult, I realize now, because historical figures who were influential in any place, scientists and artists and biologists and naturalists, etc., they were of course, well, it's horrible enough, but they were of course always men, and they were always white, and they were always affluent. So those are the people we still revere in the names of our paints. 645. But when you really think about it, really sit down and think about it, it's not really okay. I studied English in university, and one of my majors, I majored in journalism. No, I minored in journalism, majored in women's studies, and there I found out for the first time, I realized how few women are actually ever mentioned in history books. And so I own a big, fat, bulky history book mentioning all the women who were important in history, who've had influence somehow, and not just Joan of Arc, but like really. And also that they were not just pretty women like Cleopatra, but they really had influence. And I think with this whole Black Lives Matter situation, we're starting to review our perspective on human history as a whole, because the world isn't just white men. 668, Chrome Oxide Green. This is a color I find interesting. It's an ugly color. It's not that Tarlens created an ugly color. It's just a very ugly color. But I've used this to paint moss on trees, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. This is wonderful. It's light. It's it seems a bit opaque. No, it shouldn't be opaque. No, yes, it is semi-opaque. So this is easy to paint moss with. Look, and if you lay it down thick like that, all these little specks, that'll be nice on trees, on branches. Yeah, okay. But it really, in itself, it's an ugly, dull color. I don't think anyone has any home decor in this color. Shouldn't have. Should be forbidden. It's depressing. 629 Green Earth PG23. Always the weakest color in any collection. It always makes me wonder why it's in there at all, but that's just like with the real alizarin, crimson, and the non-permanent madder lakes. I suspect that landscape artists or floral watercolorists are very adamant about certain colors. But if you have a suggestion for me how I could use this pigment in an interesting way, please let me know, because I'm curious. What do you guys do with your green earth pigments, if you have any? Okay. It's a weakling. Oh, the weakest of the lot. Olive green, 620. I always love olive green. The only thing I don't love about it, it's always a multi-pigment. So here goes. Oh, but it's lovely. Look. This is gorgeous. I already own this color, but it's still gorgeous. It's got PY 150 in it. You know, everything, the whole world becomes a better place when you look at it through a PY 150 lens. It's just so warm and so, oh, this makes me happy. Just add a little bit quinacridone pink, a nickel azo yellow. Ah, I can already see the fairies flying. See the butterflies, you know, this whole fairy tale land. I love this. So soft and so warm a green color. And beautifully transparent. Okay, 296. This is a new color. I don't know what it's called in English, but I'll just Englishify this word. Azomethine green yellowish. Azo green yellowish. Yoo-hoo! Sorry, getting excited. This is lovely. Oh, it's even more vibrant than the last one. Yes, this is great. I have similar colors, but this one is more vibrant. Okay, so I gotta think of a painting for this color, because this is great. Oh, it's so powerful, so strong. Got great tinting strength. And look what happens when you add water. It becomes yellow, but it's still very powerful even when diluted. Look at that. Do you see that? This is a gorgeous yellow. Oh, lovely. Absolutely wonderful. I'm really super happy they've added this to the collection. Right, 227 yellow ochre. In one of my videos I said this was the most boring color of all, meaning that this is, you know, this color is in every collection, every brand, so there's nothing new about it, but I do use it a lot. This is rather an orange ochre. It's really a golden ochre. Even this color, this is the 231. It says to be golden ochre, and this is yellow ochre. But I find it very golden. It's a very warm ochre, this one. Oops, I've accidentally touched swatches. Wow. It's all right. You can clearly see the difference. So it always happens. But this is what I mean with, now you can see which of the two pigments is stronger. And, well, obviously, these pigments are stronger than that one. So let's just let it happen. If I start interfering now, it will only show, you know, it will still show. So 231. This is the gold ochre. I'm really curious. This looks like more like a sienna, heading towards a sienna, but it's a gold ochre. It's more brownish than the one above. The ochre above is more yellowish indeed, and this one looks more brownish. It also feels like it's got less tinting strength, so it's a little more laid back. If you want to use it for mixes in like skin tones, etc., this one is a little bit, the 227 is more enthusiastic than that one. 265 is transparent oxide yellow. It's a color I love as well. It's beautifully transparent, and it's heading more towards the browns, the earth tones, but this is like an earth tone with a lot of sunlight in it, so a very warm tone. And this is a lovely color. I'm going to try this one for a skin tone. I like it. 234 sienna, and it is set to granulate now. Let's see. It comes off a little more difficult than the other colors. That was, I remember swatching the Daniel Smith dot card, and this also happened with the Daniel Smith paints. Some pigments just dry up a lot harder than others, and yeah, just require a little more work, but not like, it's not like they re-wet difficult, but it's like they re-wet a little harder than all the others that re-wet so easily. Wow, okay, yeah, looks nice. Let's see, I'm curious if they dry up, how much difference there's going to be between the colors. 229 quinacridone orange. Here we go. Oh, that's warm. Temperature in the room is rising by a couple of degrees with this paint. This is just lovely. I'm imagining this one with that one, the 522 and the 229 in a painting. It's got to be beautiful. It's gorgeous, super vibrant, As you can see, super vibrant, super warm, super transparent, and behaves very well. This is a really lovely paint. Three, 7, 8. Transparent Oxide Red. Now this is a color I already owned and used a lot for my trees. I love to give my trees a warm undertone. So when I would be painting bark, I would give the bases of the tree this color sometimes. And that was I just love this color. It's so beautiful. It's very warm and vibrant, a little less outspoken than the quinacridone orange, but it moves into the it goes into that direction. So 411 Sienna burnt sienna. Let's see. And here we head more towards a real earth tone. It's less vibrant than the transparent oxide red. So more like a laid back, a more natural color. Okay, last color of this swatch card. This is 409 Burnt Umber, and this is a lovely and warm, intense color. And this burnt umber is warmer than the burnt umbers I know from other brands. I happen to love it. But I also always need a green umber in my collection to tone down everything I do. I tone it down with green umber. But I love this color. It's a beautiful milk chocolate brown. It's warm, it's intense, it's a very, very beautiful brown. So look at that. Isn't this a wonderful color chart? I'm trying to see, all these colors are drying up with ample difference. The difference between the yellow ochre and the gold ochre is slight. If I would have to say anything about it, this one indeed looks a bit more yellowish and is much more in your face than this one, although they don't differ very much. You could buy only just one of the two, depending on your taste, or you could buy the two pigments here and mix that one, even though it won't be exactly the same because these are transparent colors and this one is a slightly opaque. So these colors are just extremely warm. They're lovely here too. I love the warm tones that Rembrandt make. They really are beautifully warm. I love the blue green. The blue greens are beautiful, and I have to say, I think this is the first time that I see a cobalt teal color that is actually as beautiful as my PG50s is. It is 586 Cobalt Turquoise Blue. It is lovely. It's a beautiful color. I'm going to compare those two because I'm really curious what they will look like. So, gonna let this dry and I'll film the next color chart, and I hope to see you there. If you like my swatching and reviewing, because I'll be doing a lot of reviews about this paint as well. If you like them, subscribe to my channel. You can also subscribe to my newsletter. I will put the link below my video. There I will show you more. In the newsletter is more information about videos I make, but also about other things I do and my other work, which is making art. And there will be some news in a little bit, but I won't I won't give away what that is just yet. However, then you know that if you want to hear more, you can subscribe there. So thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions, then please let me know, and looking forward to see you in the fourth part of this Rembrandt watercolor swatch. Thank you very much for watching. Bye.